Hi, everybody. So before I let you listen to this episode of the Halcyon Frequency Podcast, I just want to give you a quick editor's note. TLDR, we lost our recording. This happens. Sometimes things break. And in this instance, one of the audio files from the three of us recording broke, and I don't have any way to salvage it. I've done my best, but it is not salvageable. So what we're having to resort to is our backup, which we do record with every recording session. So what you will be hearing is a recording of our Discord conversation instead of the separate local audio files, which means there will be some more artifacting, and there's kind of not much I can do about it. I've done my best to make it sound as good as I possibly can, so hopefully it doesn't impact your listening experience. Enjoy the rest of the Halcyon Frequency Podcast for this week, and we hope to do better next time.
Allergies are fun.
Yeah, it was really bad for me like 2 weeks ago, and now it's a bit better.
Yeah,
because...
we're like the height of birch currently, so fun times.
Yeah, our birch is now normal, like not normal, but like it's like we're already past the peak, so I'm feeling better.
I'm starting to feel better for my seasonal allergies. I had like about 3 weeks there where I was just like coughing and sneezing like uncontrollably constantly, and now I'm just like, all right, I'm kind of better now.
Yeah, I'm still affected because there's still lots of mold spores which I'm allergic to, and I'm gonna be okay until grass pollen season starts, and then I'm gonna be dead again.
So something that's beneficial about podcasting as a medium is that you can't get pollen spores from the Halcyon Frequency Podcast, and this is episode 18, airing May the 15th. I'm BlindiRL, and I'm hosting this episode, and I'm joined by Belannaer. How are you today?
Hey.
And we're also joined by FGsquared, who's hiding from pollen spores.
Yeah, I am. Though a little bit. Still a little bit. I'm just like social distancing myself from the pollen spores, I think. But I'm doing great. How are you?
The problem is they don't want a social distance from you.
Yeah, that's the problem.
They just get everywhere.
They do.
Everywhere and all over the place. So we're back for another Sunday episode of this here Halcyon Frequency Podcast. We've got your general allotted rambling at the start, followed by your talk of video games and potentially controversial opinions on Songs of Conquest, followed by your allotment of news, and then I've got video game fact or fiction lined up for the very end. So I don't know.
I'm really looking forward to that
episode teaser. It's gonna be a pretty simple little thing, but I'm trying to like, I don't know, spice up these episodes a little bit with like something fun at the end for every episode. So just, you know, to make sure people are having fun and not just being dragged along for a show that Blind hosts.
I really enjoyed is it Pokemon or Star Wars last week. That was really good.
I hope people enjoyed listening to that, because
I didn't hear that. I need to listen to that as well.
Just go listen to the most recent episode of the Halcyon Frequency Podcast and skip to the end.
Yeah, but listen to this one first, and then go back, and then listen to all the other ones as well.
Yeah, just, you know.
So you're up to speed.
Just, you know, set a bot so that you listen to them all, and then go back to the beginning, and then listen to them all, and go back to the beginning.
Yeah, and share with your grandma, and aunt, and uncle, and mother, and father, and brother, and child, and sister, and sibling, and everything. Yeah, do that.
So I feel kind of bad because me and my chat, we were talking about phones yesterday, and one of the members of my chat was just like, yeah, like I can't load my work app anymore. And we're just like, what? Why? And he's just like, because my phone's OS is too old. And then I'm like, what kind of phone do you have? And he goes, iOS, but it's like running on 3 versions behind. I'm just like, wait a second, you have an iOS phone? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, and you listen to my podcast? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, you haven't left a review yet?
Cool out.
Just like trapped in mid-card. He's like, how do I do that? Here's the link to iTunes where you can review the podcast. He goes, okay, I need to download the app. He's like, so you already know what I'm going to type in. It's like, yeah, Dwarf Fortress memes, obviously. But that's how hard it is to get people to review podcasts on iTunes.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy we're on episode 18 already. It feels like we started like last week.
It does.
I mean, I've done this show almost every week since it started. And with like, I think I missed one. It was one that I wasn't on.
Yep.
And like, I also feel like we started this like a month ago. Like, this feels like a brand new show. We're gonna hit week 52, and it'll be a year. And I'm gonna be like, well,
No. Oh god. Who
I-
knows what by then has happened in the world? Honestly, I'm not discounting an alien invasion at this point. Who knows?
well, I can tell you this. Starfield will not be out by then.
Yeah, that is actually true.
That's some like not well. I mean, that's kind of spoiler for later in the podcast, but like everybody already knows that, right? So
yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
That's one of the. I don't know. I was pretty. I not to like burn pod for later, but like that was one that I was pretty convinced was gonna make it. Like I was pretty convinced they were gonna hit that, but
I'm
Yeah,
surprised.
considering how much marketing they've done already, like videos and other things.
I'm surprised, but I mean, maybe this is also burning stuff for later. Maybe that means Microsoft went in because they saw where it was at and they were like, yeah, this is Bethesda, but we know y'all can do better, so take more time and do better. Maybe.
Yeah,
I just
I
want-
feel a lot of the things they
Maybe.
have been doing lately is because of the Microsoft thing, like moving stuff to Steam and so on.
yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get a Bethesda game that's like actually then supported by the devs and not just by modders. Maybe.
I mean, it would
Don't
be a
go
very weird
crazy.
thing, but it would be fitting for the times, I guess. Everything is weird, so that's
yeah,
fun.
yeah, true. See, that's the big thing of 2023 then.
Since we're still in the intro, not quite in the games or news sections of the podcast yet, I have a obligatory blind garden update.
All right.
My onion clusters are sprouting. I have replicating onions. They're a tiny little white onion around the size of a shallot, and you plant one, and they turn into about 12 in a couple of about 2 months, and then you dig them up halfway, you pull off all but one and replant one, and then it grows to like 12 in a couple of weeks again, and you do it again. So every couple of weeks you get like a bundle of onions. I have 9 of them planted, and they're all sprouting, and they're all about 3 centimeters tall now. So I got little onion sprouts. So I'm very, very proud of that.
I'm really jelly of your gardening thing. Also, the pack of kale you showed yesterday, it's like, I want as well.
I have this monster bag of kale that was given to me because the little combination of my mom and the little community garden that I go to. When I was there, the guy that was like prepping a plot right across from mine was like ripping out plants and stuff that he didn't want. He's like, hey, do you want like a pile of kale? I'm just like, yeah. So I have a massive bag of kale, which I'm going to have my own soon because I have a bunch of kale sprouts, but
I also have a plant update. I guess this is now the Halcyon Frequency Plant Podcast, but I bought a whole bunch of plants like at the start of April, like for the house, not for outside. Well, I mean, I also have plants for outside, but it's mostly just like house plants, not flowers, because I don't really like flowers. Though the thing that I'm talking about is a flower. It's really weird. I prefer plants that are just green instead of having flower, but
leafy green, big leaves, lots of leaves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, though I bought. One of the plants that I bought was a peace lily, so it is actually a plant with flowers. But
I have 2 of those.
yeah, I mean they're really pretty, and they're not they don't smell. Right? That's what I don't like about flowers, because they have this overwhelming, cloyingly sweet scent. Like I got it with like 4 flowers on it, and now there's already a 5th, and there's like 5 more coming. This thing is like growing like mad. It's insane, and it's so easy to take care of because you just water it like once a week. And you just leave it in a bathroom in the sun, and it's like, poof, lots of plant. Great.
Yeah, it would be great if something actually grew here as well. Maybe in a month or something
You
green
could
happens.
You could do like one of those mini trees that they make in Japan.
Yeah, bonsai.
You could do bonsai trees.
I've actually really wanted one of those. So I've been meaning to buy one for ages.
My dad
Also on that
actually
note-
has a few bonsai trees.
I do actually have some onions growing in the kitchen because I forgot we had red onions and they're sprouting there.
Just now okay, coffee grounds. Coffee grounds, a little bit of dirt.
I moved to we have this like 1 deciliter like a measuring thing that's like metal. I plopped it there. It's like it looks like a nice flower growing now.
Aw.
Oh, nice. That just reminded me of, because we're talking about things growing. I mean, we need to mow our lawn. The grass is growing like it's a time for the grass to grow here.
You need to hire the
Insanely.
kid up the street to mow your lawn. That's what suburban living's about, right?
There is, I think, one family with like older
You
kids
need
here.
to offer to pay the kid V-Bucks.
Oh god.
Better V-Bucks than Robux.
That's true, yeah, I suppose. Goodness. Please, can we not talk about games? I'm just kidding.
This has nothing to do with video games. I bought a mortar and pestle.
Ooh.
Like a proper.
Yeah, like a proper
one.
granite mortar
Fancy.
and pestle. There's a stoneworks masonry place around here, and I went onto their website a couple of weeks ago, and was just like kind of looking through what they do, and then they just have like home and kitchen section. And because I always see their sign because they're right next to a row of breweries that I go to sometimes out in Port Moody, and they always have this sign that's just like handmade and hand machined stoneware. And I went to their website because I was bored, and they have like solid granite mortar and pestles for like $40.
Nice.
So I was just like, I want a mortar and pestle, so I like bought a mortar and pestle with like no real thought behind it. So now there's a mortar and pestle on my counter, so I'm gonna make like guacamole and stuff.
Yeah, that is converting from the moose bucks. It's very decent price for that.
Moose bucks.
Moose bucks. Okay.
So
I mean,
what's
I'll
the
take that
ratio
over
of
Monopoly
moose
money.
bucks to V-Bucks?
I mean, Canadian pesos, moose bucks, Monopoly money.
Well, Yeah. So please convert from moose bucks to V-Bucks to Roblox to dollary-doos. All right.
And then does that mean a didgeridoo is a Ausbuck?
No, that's a dollary-doo.
A dollaridoo. Okay.
A dollary-doo is an Australian dollar, yeah. And now we have offended a whole bunch of the audience.
If you are offended, please leave a review at.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just tell everybody how much FGsquared just sucks. Perfect. But make sure to do it on iTunes. And a 5-star on iTunes means it's really bad. So do 5 stars.
I mean, don't actually talk about the podcast. Just talk about how you're really offended by FG calling your currency dollary-doos. And I'll also go leave a review about how I'm offended by moose bucks. Really?
Wait,
Also-
but isn't moose tracks like a snack thing?
What?
I
Probably.
Is there,
I don't
is there
know.
something called moose tracks that's like a snack?
Not
there's
that I've
Moose
ever
Tracks
heard of.
No, there's Moose Tracks ice cream.
I've never heard of this.
It's American, but it's Moose Track ice cream. Yeah, it's supposedly like, it's a brand. Oh, okay, it's a brand. It's not a type of ice cream. It's a brand.
Still never heard of this.
Yeah,
I think we need to just start a food and a gardening podcast as a side as well.
I think so too.
I just want to do a Dune podcast, but I need to find like at least one other person who's willing to read all of Dune with me, which is like kind of a big commitment. But it's never gonna happen, so I'm not gonna push that one.
maybe we should just make a Halcyon Frequency book club, and it's gonna be Dune, and you're just all gonna read all of Dune.
Yeah, I mean that's literally what I want to do. Just like 2 or 3 chapters a week, and then we show up and talk about those 2 or 3 chapters. We'd have content for the next 8 years. It'd be great. Or even like every other week and do more chapters. I don't know. It's not gonna happen. So
I'm sure if I want more book stuff in my life, I'm already drowning here.
that is true.
My Facebook blogging and everything.
That or
we may have been standing in the middle of a rocky area today, just taking pictures of books for like 30 minutes.
That or I mean, being a book influencer is actually kind of rad if you think about it.
Yeah, it's very
But
cool.
then
She
to
actually
be
got some first sponsorships as well lately, so it's been interesting.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
But then, I mean, to be fair, being a video game influencer is also pretty rad.
Grass is greener,
if you
right?
think about it.
Yeah. Like when I was a kid, so it's like thinking about being someone who just talks about games on a podcast and plays them online and makes a living out of that. It's like, what?
Yeah.
My favorite thing that I've ever said to a kid who's just like, I want to do what you do. I was like, do you want to own a car? Yeah? Well, then you don't want to do what I do. But on the topic of talking about books on the podcast, I need like one more person to play Norco so I could do a spoiler cast for Norco. Real bad. I
really need to find time to play that.
That could just go into this podcast feed because like I want to talk about that ending. That game is wild.
The game was like about 8 hours or something like that, so it's not super long.
It depends on how fast you read. If you're a really fast
Slow.
reader, you could get it done in 6, 5 even. It took me about 13 because I'm a slow reader. And I talk to chat a lot. And I also did 2 endings, which adds like an extra 45 minutes. It's Norco's a neat game. We talked about it on this podcast. You should go play it. It also, I think, as of yesterday anyway, it had overwhelmingly positive reviews, which is interesting because it didn't even have enough reviews to have so the recent reviews are overwhelmingly positive, and the overall reviews, it doesn't have enough to get the double overwhelmingly positive, which is kind of fantastic, but...
Yeah, but also sucks for such a good game.
There's a lot of... We're really spoiled for good games right now, and there's a lot of reason to talk about them. So I think that we should go to a real quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some things that we're spoiled and should talk about. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Hey, my name is Arch from Arch Plays Stuff, and you're listening to the Halcyon Frequency Podcast. I'm not on this one, but if you want to catch me live on Twitch, you can at twitch.tv/archplaystuff. Happy listening.
Once again, this is the Halcyon Frequency Podcast, episode 18 for May 15th, 2022. I'm Blind. I'm here with Belannaer and FGsquared. We're going to talk about some games that we've been playing this week. So, let's start off with the old and then get into the new as we go. So, Belannaer, you want to talk about Oxygen Not Included? It's your first time back in a while, I think.
Yeah, it's been quite a long time. Like I played it when the DLC came out into early access. I was like, I'm just gonna wait for it to feel fully done. And then it was my 5 years partnership on Twitch, and Oxygen Not Included was the game that pretty much pushed me over to get to partner. So I was like, we should play that again, just for a nostalgia. And it was actually really, really fun again. And I intend to keep playing it because there's a lot of really new fancy things that I can toy with, like the radiation things and all the new planets and everything. Also, starting on a weird upside down asteroid with the magma up, it feels really challenging. And I was thinking, like, when I was playing previously, it was kind of lacking the challenge because we've played it like for 600 hours or something. So having that challenge back now is great.
Yeah, and there's some stuff that's just DLC specific that if you've never played the DLC, you'll just never have experienced it before.
Also, there is a sauna now in the game, so obviously I have to play it.
Of course, yeah. I still need to get back to it at some point. Like you playing it, like watching you play it that day, made me really close to wanting to play it again. But I'm not quite there yet to hit the button to stream the game.
You know what we need to do? We need to do a Passover save. So I'll play it today, and I'll give to you, and you give to me, and so on. Because that's gonna create massive chaos.
Yeah, I've done that before. That's a lot of chaos. See, that could be intriguing though.
Like we did that on RimWorld and some other games also. Have done it. It's been always really fun. So I think Oxygen Not Included could work on that as well.
That could be fun.
People have done that in the past, so yeah, absolutely.
I could be convinced to do that. I think.
Well, you'll have to convince each other then, I think. I'm apparently getting card drops in Steam right now. Strange. FG, what the heck's Lost Nova?
Lost Nova is a tiny little indie exploration adventure game made by the person who made the art for Forager, if you played that in the past. So it has really adorable art. There's some callbacks in there, some art style and just short dialogue, callbacks to certain other games. It's really charming. It's pretty short. I finished the story in about 4 hours, but basically you are Mia, a person that never stops working, and then her spaceship crashes on a planet.
Space influencer.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's a story about how basically Mia should just stop and smell the flowers every once in a while helping people and talking with people rather than just work all the time. So it was really charming and cute and wholesome. I also felt a little bit called out because hashtag relatable, I guess. But no, it's really cute. It's longer if you want to 100% it in terms of achievements and do all the help things that you can do on the planet. But I really, really enjoyed it, and it's a single dev. I think it's actually, and that's really cute. It's made by the artist of Forager, and then it's like published by the developer of Forager. It's really cute. And yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. There's a couple of things that I'd love to see changed because it has what I like to call the wobble cam. Basically, if you're playing with WASD and you have you aim, because there's some easy aiming because you have a laser, and you aim with your mouse and you turn around like with a mouse, and it does the whole tie the camera to the mouse so you can like zoom, like when you the further you go to the right, the screen moves as well, and that's really bad for my motion sickness, simulation sickness, or motion sickness from video games. And I had to play with a controller because it was a lot less on controller. It was still there, but I could like power through it for 4 hours. So I really wish it had an option to not have that, because you don't really need it in the game. Because you don't need to there's no enemies in the game. It makes sense to have that in games where enemies will start shooting you and attacking you from off screen, but on that game you really didn't need it, and I really would love an option to turn that off.
Yeah,
or just tie it into like a hotkey or something so you can peek if you need to peek.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I always go back to Brigador, which is a game where you literally need that mechanic in order to like shoot enemies off screen in the higher levels. However, that game also lets you turn down the game's speed because the game is locked to its frame rate. So you can just like lower the game's speed and make it skip frames so things move only like at once every 8 frames or whatever instead of once per frame. And so you can slow the game down so that it looks like it's moving in slow motion and just play with the locked camera and just dodge. It's fine.
Yeah, that's doable. Like as I said, like Lost Nova really doesn't need it. I get why they do it because you get just a bigger range, even though without having to move your character. But it is besides motion blur, probably like for me personally, my biggest trigger of simulation sickness. So I still need to reach out and like have a chat with a dev about that, like just DM them or whatever, because it's a single person dev. Like it's like they're gonna be relatively approachable about that sort of thing, and they probably may have just never heard of that being an issue. So hopefully it gets a setting in the future where it can turn that off.
Yeah.
Still a really charming game though, and if you want like a wholesome little adventure game that you can just run around in a really pretty world with really nice music as well, I definitely super recommend it because I really enjoyed it.
Also, like, I just want to bring up one thing because you say that like kind of the theme of the game is to like slow down and smell the flowers, and you seem to be you feel a little bit called out by this. Is it maybe less of a you feel called out, more of a hey, valuable life lesson?
Yeah, I suppose that's true. That's true too. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, if a game like makes you slow down and think, maybe I should slow down for a bit. Maybe that's not a bad thing that the game's making you think.
Oh no, I mean, I guess I feel called out is too harsh. That's more of a joking thing, like admitting that the game has a point.
I gotcha.
Because it definitely has a point in that regard.
So, Belannaer, Jedi Fallen Order, Orderly Falling Jedi. How game?
Game good. So there was that May the 4th be with you thing, and people kind of jokingly told me that I should play the Star Wars. And I was like, yeah, why should I? So I just grabbed it from a Game Pass because I had it for €1 again. So it's like, why not? And I actually ended up liking it so much that I then finished the game this week. Surprisingly good Star Wars game, and I'm usually not even into like Star Wars. I kind of think it's kind of mostly the stories and everything. But this one actually grabbed me really hard. Also, the combat being a little Dark Soulsy helped as well, and force pushing people off the ledges never gets old.
Mm-hmm. That's been fun since 1995 in the games that were made out of 18 polygons.
Yeah, and then you get like mass push and bigger push and all the pushes, and it's like pulling and throwing everything around. It's just fun. But also the story was written really well. I really enjoyed the story mostly, and I kind of hope that there's a sequel coming at some point as well.
Yeah, they are working on a sequel. Yeah. They're working on a sequel. Yeah, it's been confirmed.
And it also made me really hyped for the other Star Wars game, the Eclipse, that's coming out this year from the people who made Detroit Become Human. And I'm really looking forward to that. I played the Detroit earlier this year in like January or something. It's probably one of the best games I've played ever. So having a Star Wars plus that is probably going to be interesting.
I really wish that Quantic Dream was a game studio that I could feel good about supporting, but they're kind of like Activision in that they're one of those studios that I just can't.
Yeah.
I realize that like the games that they make people like, so.
Yeah, they definitely do make good games. But that's
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Although their games are irreparably tied to Sean in my head.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Sean!
Oh god, that is
to those of you who
perfect.
don't know what I'm talking about, there's a bug at the end of Heavy Rain that I don't know if it ever got fixed, but like you could like there was a button where you had to press to scream for help, to scream for Sean because Sean's missing, and there's a bug where it's just infinitely repeatable and you can make the line glitch over itself. So you get to that sequence and you're supposed to be able to shout Sean like 2 or 3 times, right? And then it removes the thing.
Yeah.
But there's a bug where that prompt just stays on screen for the rest of that sequence, and it's like people are crying and like it's pouring rain and you're just in the background spamming Sean.
Yeah, because isn't it basically ending? Like people literally get killed and you just go
literally
like,
main characters are dying,
Yeah.
completely unrelated to Sean, and like it's 8-minute sequence of like not cutscene but like QuickTime event essentially, and you can just sit there in the background and scream Sean for the entirety of it.
Oh, that is amazing. I actually found a similar bug in Mass Effect when you went to the pilot and pressed the button there and he said Captain. And when you pressed that enough times, it bugged out, and then you could press Captain anywhere. I may have had too much fun with that.
That sounds
I
good.
also would like a personal captain, but in real life.
Sure, yeah, that actually I'd be okay with that too, yeah.
I need like a that was easy Staples button, except like swap it out to just say captain.
But then I literally have a thing on my desk that lets me do that, and I literally needed to press today the 3 buttons out of the 12 that can do sound effects that I have actually assigned to something to find the thing that I was looking for. So I have it, I just never use that thing. So I could theoretically have a thing that just goes captain all the time whenever I press the button, but I just forget to use it. But yeah.
So, since I haven't talked about a game yet, and you guys have both talked about games, I'm gonna ramble about Citizen Sleeper for a second.
Do it.
So I think I mentioned this on last week's pod very briefly, but I want to dive into Citizen Sleeper for a second here because I'm about, I don't know, a third of the way through it now, I think. I'm on cycle 9, whatever that means. So do either of you know anything about Citizen Sleeper, or should I just start from the beginning?
I watched you a little bit yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I know as well, so I'm good to go, but probably want to still go into it because there's probably people listening that have never heard about the game and what it is about.
So what I'm going to say before I start this is literally everything I'm going to say is kind of either a mechanical or a story spoiler because it's a narrative-based game. So keep that in mind, I guess. So Citizen Sleeper is a science fiction, post-capitalism, gamified person. It's the science fiction post-capitalism gamification of being a person with debilitating disabilities unable to afford their health care. That is Citizen Sleeper. But what it ends up being is it's a narrative adventure that's very text heavy. That has kind of 2 sides to it. There's dialogue and there is the dice games. The kind of basic lore pitch is there are people called sleepers, and sleepers are living people that sold their consciousness to AgroCorp, which is the corporation that runs everything. And when you sell your consciousness to this corporation, they take your consciousness and they make a copy of it, and they put that copy into a synthetic human being and then you awake and you are called a sleeper. These synthetic creatures can live in hard vacuum for a time. They can live on very unhospitable planets, and they can function basically as hard laborers, and you, in theory, will wake back up in your body, but the second you're put into the sleeper, you realize, oh, this is a copy of my brain, and I am not that actual person from before. That other person that was me once, who accepted money to be ported into this body, could potentially just, wake up and go do other things, so you never know what happened to your body, essentially. So now you're locked in this body, which has feelings and can feel pain and taste and other sensations that a human can feel, except you are not human, and you do not own the rights to your body. You do not have the right to consciousness, as this game likes to remind you. You then, in the prologue of this game, escape on a freighter in an explosion in a tunnel. In a mining shaft, and you get onto a freighter and you are shipped off, and you spend weeks and weeks and weeks in hard vacuum in this shipping container, and you wake up on the Eye in a salvage yard. And a character named Dragos, who's got a drone interface basically welded to his face, permanently implanted, wakes you up and gives you a job, knows exactly what you are, where you came from, and basically helps you kind of get back on your feet. And then the game loop becomes a loop of acquiring the mandatory pharmaceuticals that you need to keep your planned obsolescence from kicking in and your body rejecting your brain. So you have to go and get these things called stabilizers, which are only produced by the corporation that made you, and they have no reason to release them because you are their property, or your body is their property. And you have to acquire these stabilizers. These stabilizers cost money, so you have to earn money. Now, every day when you wake up in this game, because the game works in cycles, which is kind of like a turn. It kind of looks like something that's going to be like an XCOM sort of like run-based thing, but it's not. It's a story game that you play to the end. Every day you wake up and you're given dice. You can have up to 6 dice. The number of dice that you are given is based off of your body's status, essentially. So you have the full bar, which is you're healthy, right? And then it goes down to fatigued. Every cycle you lose 1 pip of your body's physique, essentially. You go down to fatigued and then you lose 1 dice. If it goes down further, you lose another dice, all the way down to only having 1 dice. Dice are 1 through 6. The higher the dice, the better outcomes you will get on jobs and tasks. And the lower the dice, the worse the outcomes could be on each task. A task can be positive, neutral, or negative. If it's positive, the task succeeds and it can move a loading clock forward. If it's neutral, it'll move the loading clock forward and you don't get any bonuses. And if it's negative, it moves the loading clock forward, but it could hurt you. So it could either cost you money, it could move other clocks forward that are negative, things like something tracking you, or somebody following you, or a bad event coming. Or it could cause permanent damage to your bodies to make you go get pharmaceuticals earlier. It could make your hunger bar go down, so you have to go acquire food. I don't know if this game has a failure state, because I don't know anybody who's hit it. It very much seems like the dice rolls that you get and the clocks that move forward dictate what ending you get. So it's all about managing the odds of whether or not you can succeed a job to move the story forward in different ways. It's a game that autosaves constantly. You can't quick save. I was able to jump back to a quick save when I accidentally moved a day forward when I didn't intend to, but it's like not a game that you can like just put down a hard save and like save scum it. It's not that type of game. There's also a whole hacking layer where you can like dissociate from your body and go into the neural net of the station and actually use dice without the concern of a failed dice roll. Put dice into these nodes on the hacking network and extract information about the history of the station that you're on from people who've left their connections open throughout the station. But every single time, and those require specific numbers. So maybe you rolled a bunch of 1s. Some of those will only require 1s. Some of the hacking So the hacking nodes all require lower dice rolls, I should say that. So they're all below below 3. So it's 3 2s and 1s are what they require, but they require exactly that dice. So if you have 2 1s at the end and you're like, I don't want to risk it on a dangerous job, you can jump over into the hacking screen and find some nodes that you can put 1s into to just unlock data on the history of the station. So, like I said, I haven't finished the game yet. I'm going to. I'll probably finish it early next week. But the fact that it's gamifying trying to survive in a capitalist society as somebody who is rapidly dissociating and also borderline unable to afford their own meds in a world that only exists to profit from them is just a... FG was saying, like, feels called out, it strikes home. This really hits home. And it's...
I was just listening here to this guy
Really
the whole
cool.
thing. I was thinking, this sounds like my life. It's like, totally feels familiar.
It's like, I gave the pitch to Northern Quarter, who's I would say a friend of the show, who's another Canadian who also works in medical in his day job. And I went by his stream and he's just like, oh, what were you playing? And I told him, and I gave him kind of like the very baseline elevator pitch. He goes, man, that sounds like a lot. And it
definitely sounds like some heavy topics and probably pretty depressing parts as well.
It kind of is, but because of the game's setting, it's actually very light. Like the writing is dense and the themes are very dour, but it kind of has Akira vibes to it, if that makes sense. And it doesn't feel anime, but it's got that kind of, like, if you just go to the Steam page for Citizen Sleeper and you look at the character art, a lot of the characters are not larger than life. That's the wrong word, but like exaggerated in a little way that makes them really likable. So you have some, like, yeah, the world is really downtrodden and dark. Yeah, the themes are really harsh and jagged, and the things that you and your character are going to have to go through in this game are difficult. But the writing, I think, softens the blow of that a lot. Like, some minor topical spoilers here, but there's a vendor that you talk to, who you can, from what I can tell, completely skip as a character if you want to, but it's one of the starting icons, and this person sells you fungus, and he makes stir fries for you. And one of the things that you need is food. So you can totally go to the, there's an area that you can unlock where you can get really cheap food, which are just, air quotes, expired rations, which are like 5 credits a piece. Or for a few more credits, or cryo as they call it in the game, which is literally cryptocurrency. I found places where I'm mining it. But you can get cryo. And for 15 cryo, you can buy stir-fried fungus from this vendor. And if you buy, every couple of that you buy, it moves his clock forward, and when his clock fills up, you get dialogue with him. And you literally can just sit there and vent stories about your life to this fungus vendor, and he listens. And he has these little anecdotes that he kicks back at you, which are super cheerful and happy. And then he gives you this quest line where you have to go and forage for fungus in the greenways, in the greenhouses, in the basement of the space station. So you end up like with this little mini game, like hunting for fungus. And all of his dialogue is super happy, and it's like this little world within this bigger, darker world. And yeah, there's horrifying things in this game, but it's completely offset by these super cheerful, pleasant to be around, well-written characters.
So, would you say it's bleak, but there's a lot of hope in the world still?
There's absolutely very hopeful characters, yes. Like, another character that you run into in the first couple of cycles, I won't say anything specific about them, but let's just say they're trying to remove the final hold of the corporations on the station and boot them out entirely to evict all of the control that's left, and is trying to find the last few stalwart holdouts of the corporation that built the station initially. So there's like revolutions and uprisings and like the remnants of the old corporations being booted and stuff like that. Like, there's absolutely hope in the story, but the framing of it is like it's a very good example of extremely harsh subject matter being presented in a way that is very digestible.
That's good because that actually makes the game sound even more attractive to me because there is this trend in media recently where everything is just like nitty and gritty and dark and depressing and there's no hope for anything. And I hate it. I hate it so much because
it's
you know,
certainly not the grimdark type thing.
Yeah, that's good. So I haven't played it yet. It's not going to be a game that unfortunately I'll play on stream, even though people have asked, but there's just so much text in it. Like I literally had people come in yesterday.
It's a book.
Asked, will you play Citizen Sleeper? I said that no because of that, and they came in this morning. They were like, the game is really good, but there's so much text. There's so much text.
You could just tell them to go watch Blind play Citizen Sleeper. It's fine.
Yeah, that's what I said exactly. I told them that you were playing it exactly, but yeah, that's definitely going to be one that I'll play. I think on my own because then I can just read it without having to read it out loud, which is unfortunately one like for me at least like one of the most challenging things to do. Play a game like that doesn't have a narrator or voice acting, unfortunately, because it just wrecks my voice.
Yeah, it's really rough reading.
So
tons and tons of text there.
So something I'm going to complain about with Citizen Sleeper, for a second, is you may notice all of the things that I've said that are really, 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 really nice about it are about the writing, the art direction, and I also love the music. There's a few places in the UI that just make me scratch my head. So you're on this space station, right? And it's like this circular space station. I don't think motion sickness would be an issue, but like I think if you move the space station really quickly, it kind of made me go, whoa, that was like not a thing I like seeing. So there's that. But the dice pop-ups pop up around the station when you click on the icons. Like it zooms in on the station, and then this UX pops up. But the UX is for the dice on the screen shifts depending on what goals there are. And there are definitely times where like, oh, half of the dialogue will be over top of a window in the backdrop of the station. And because it's got a transparent background on the back of the little dialogue box, there's like a light right behind it, and it's the same color as the text, so I can't read a third of that flavor text. It's only happened a couple of times, but there's definitely been, I've had issues with like UI overlapping on like lighting in the background where it's just like, oh, that's completely obscuring that piece of wording, which either means like that's intentional and wouldn't surprise me with this type of game, but it is quite annoying. So I have run into a few like minor UX gripes. Also like you're clicking and dragging these dice from the top of the screen. And the way, like, down into, like, say you rolled a 6, right? You click that 6, and then you click where you want it to go on the UI. The normal thing for, like, me as a mouse user would be to click on it, hold down, and then drag it, and then let go. That doesn't work. Yeah. You have to click, let go of the button, and then it's stuck to your mouse, and then you click where you want to place it.
Oh, yeah, that's odd. Yeah, I would constantly do that incorrectly too.
Yeah, and I constantly do it incorrectly. That, and there's like no way to reset the dice that I've found. If you place it there and you decide, man, I want to put a different dice now, you have to back out of that screen to the spaceship overview and then zoom back in, which takes half a second, but is like, there's definitely places in Citizen Sleeper where it's like, yes, this was made by a really small team in 2 years. There's definitely things there, because I played their last game, which came out, like, it was like end of 2019, hold on, actually I'm gonna double check that, but like I played this team's other game, which was In Other Waters, which is also a great narrative adventure that with a linear storytelling that's neat. Yeah, April 3rd 2020 was when their last game came out. So like they're very much a writing and art studio, maybe not so much of a games design studio. I mean, this game is very much it's a dice game, and it feels like you're playing a tabletop RPG with the game, right? Which is really cool, and I love that. But there's definitely going to be a few spots where it's like, I wish that you maybe made a slightly different decision with that UI. It's really pretty, but I wish there was a slight change there in a few spots. But nothing. Yeah,
it sounds like almost like it would be because of like a controller support or something. Because with a controller, you would do it more like that way.
I don't even know if it has controller support. Hold on, let me check.
Yeah, I don't know if that's or anything, but it sounds like it would be someone who's more used to controlling things maybe with a controller than with a keyboard and mouse.
I don't think it no, it does have full controller support, so yeah, maybe.
Well, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's nothing that would be like just actually as an example, if you go to the Steam page and you go to the 1, 2, 3, 4th screenshot, there is a 4 out of 10, the 4th screenshot. There's a thing over on the left that says critical action, and there's like windows behind it. Imagine that, but like it's the windows in the center of the screenshot instead of the ones on the left, because I've had like that almost exact camera angle with that same UI.
Totally unreadable.
That's
Yeah,
like,
that
it says
seems
critical
difficult, yeah.
action, but you need to know whether or not it says critical action or repeatable action, because those are both important differentiators that you need to make. But aside from the minor UI gripes, this game it's been a phenomenal experience so far, and I can't wait to play through the rest of it. That's Citizen Sleeper.
Yeah, I'm sold.
Yeah,
I need to play
for
this
me,
as well.
for me, this is going to be one that I'll play by myself, I think.
Please
But
tell
it
me
was
when you
really
play
good.
it, and please play it soon, and then we can record a separate podcast with spoilers. So I just want to talk about spoilers. These story games, I want to talk about them. They're fun.
I feel there would be a niche for some streamer who has like a really good voice and is really good at reading things like this. Just play with these super text-heavy games.
You know what's funny?
I would imagine him do really well. Like people would just love to listen to that in the background.
I think I might be becoming that person, because I had a better time streaming this, just audience interest and chat interaction and audience excitement wise, than Songs of Conquest, which also, came out this week.
Yeah. Same.
I think all three of us played.
Yes.
Yeah, like just to like hook into what you said there, I had a couple of people in my audience be really interested in it, and what feels like the rest of them just couldn't really care less. And but that's just yeah, I don't know, that might just be my audience. Besides that, what I think of the game, like we all played it as you said, and it's for those of you who don't know, it's basically a love letter to Heroes of Light and Magic, especially 3, and it takes almost all of its gameplay from the series, like down to tiny things, how combat is handled and other things, like
How city
there's
construction is handled.
Yeah, city constructions, like the war in the overworld, because it's going back and forth between you, and then there's the other wielders that you have to like wrench the control back, so you get your production buildings back, etc., etc. And it goes so far as to like not even mention things in the tutorial that are a classic staple of Heroes of Might and Magic games, like that, for example, when you attack somebody with a melee character, or when you attack somebody in melee range, there will be a retaliation action. That is not mentioned anywhere in the game. In the tutorial, it's not mentioned anywhere. So you kind of just go like, what? They tell you about attack of opportunities, but not about that. It's very odd. There's a few things that's kind of odd about the game. So what did I think about it? I was really hyped for it, because the art was amazing. The art, like, I haven't hands down not seen pixel art that good in a really long time. But
Take a shot every time in this podcast we say we haven't seen pixel art that good in a really long time, because it's like every 2 or 3 episodes somebody says that. Anyway, go on.
No,
like our
but
pixels.
yeah, but Songs of Conquest is like out of this world.
Yeah, it is particularly good. It is wonderfully beautiful.
Yeah, they have pixel art with tilt shift, and stuff just looks in the overworld looks so good.
I'm actually going to complain about the art in a second, but go on.
No, that's fine. That's fine. There's some stuff there to be said as well. I have complaints about, for example, about the city management screen. I think the art style does not help with the city management screen at all, because there is none. You can just be in the overworld and you have to look for like brown patches of space on the floor, and they're not always easy to see. And anyways.
So this game launched in early access, I think we should claim.
Yes.
So this isn't finished. It's been out like for a couple of days now, and it's in early access. And
it is a small team.
Yeah, pretty small team.
In early access, but this is what we got after 5 years of development.
I don't think that has anything to do with anything. I mean, what is here is quite polished, so I don't think that like I mean, Jupiter Hell was in development for a decade, so they used to joke that they were going to release Jupiter Hell before Gearbox would release Duke Nukem Forever. So like that was their joke, was that they'd release Jupiter Hell before Duke Nukem Forever. So like I don't think the length of dev time has anything to do with it, or is really worth talking about.
I don't know. It's definitely. I mean, it shows their dedication, but I think at the same time, it also kind of shows that. I don't know. I mean, there is some stuff that's really polished, but then there's also some stuff that's like
requires more QA, which is what they're getting now.
Yeah, a lot more.
The combat
QA.
balance definitely needs some work.
I found like that's
me-
my problem with the game. The combat is so boring. It is so boring and way too easy in the campaign. I only played the first campaign. I have not played skirmish mode.
Did you
It's
finish
a bit
the
different.
campaign?
You obviously didn't meet the hero I met in the campaign with the chain lightning, because that's absolutely bugged currently.
Yeah, FG, did you finish the campaign?
I played everything but the last map in the first campaign.
Yeah, it was the second last map where I met that hero.
Because holy
Yeah,
heck,
no, I
difficulty
steamrolled
spike. Those first two parts of that campaign are like for the first campaign, because there's 2 campaigns in the game, and they're admittedly they're pretty hefty. There's quite a bit to them. Like it took me about 6 hours to finish the first one. And the first mission was like stone simple easy, which was fine. Second mission was just as easy. Third mission, I actually had to think, so I got steamrolled initially, and then was like, oh, okay, I'm actually playing Heroes of Might and Magic now, or in this case, Songs of Conquest, right? And then I steamrolled them, and then I played the last mission, and I steamrolled the first half of it, and then I had hit that character that Belannaer's talking about, then I got steamrolled, then I was like, you know what, I'm done streaming this for the day. I'm just like,
was that the last mission in the campaign or the second to last mission?
It's the fourth
It was second last for me.
Fourth mission.
Okay.
Is the one that I got
I think it was
demolished
third
on.
for me. So I guess you can get different heroes against you on those.
I guess so, yeah.
But yeah, it was like I had a damaging spell of my own hero, which did 10 damage on a single unit, which like nothing. And then their hero rolls in with the chain lightning that jumps from my unit, different unit, and hits like 3-4 units at the same time, 200 damage on everyone. And it literally just melted my whole army like in a turn. It's like, well, there's nothing I can do. For 2 of my armies and a whole garrison of defenders, and there was nothing I could do.
That sucks. I don't know if I just did it so quickly, because I took like half of the map. I took like 3/4 of that map really quickly before they even started like rolling out. And so what I did, because that was the map where you first get your second wielder, right? And you could theoretically get more. I never got another wielder. I only had one wielder. I just pumped everything into that wielder and leveled. Every time I could get the choice, take something or take XP, I took XP. So I was like 4 to 5 levels higher than the enemy's wielders.
Okay.
So
I was juggling 2 wielders and didn't realize that the game was going to want me to turn around and fight the guys that were chasing me initially, which is why I got steamrolled the first time on that mission. But like
I lost one of those battles as well, but that's also, as you exactly said, I didn't realize that this is the map where the actual gameplay starts.
Because they don't really signpost that at all.
Yeah.
No.
Like, if I realized I had to play like that style of strategy game, I would have been playing that style of strategy game. But up until that point, it was like an adventure strategy game. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep plopping along through this map from objective to objective.
Yeah,
it was also annoying on that same map when the enemy wielders just appear out of thin air, basically. Like you basically check out this corner and there's nothing there, and then suddenly a massive army just rolls out of nowhere.
Yeah.
The AI is only strong in that game because it cheats.
I mean, it did in Might and Magic too.
Yeah, but like
AI's hard. I don't know.
It just doesn't feel good in this game.
No.
And it like Heroes of Might and Magic 3, it's like, how old now?
Yes.
So would you not, like, in a successor, maybe try to, like, put some work into that to make it better?
I feel like if they're going for the Might and Magic audience, though, they're going for online PvP. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's what, and I don't think any of us have played any of the online, right? So
no, they just have multiplayer and custom maps and everything, so.
Okay, so I have 3 major complaints about this game. And I'm going to start with the petty one first. The very first instance of the use of the word color in this game is spelled with a U. Every other instance of the word color in this game post that first usage is not spelled with a U. So I submitted a bug report for a spelling error every single time I saw the word color after that first time I saw the word color. Because you spelled color right once, now you're spelling it wrong. So there must be two people doing writing on
one
this.
and be consistent.
Yeah, I think
Or
so.
somebody just like went in for consistency and missed one. But like that's gonna bother me. The second major complaint I have about this game, I think, is I'm just gonna echo what FG said. This game touts fast battles, and they really, 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 really are. They are very fast. Like you get into a battle, it's like less than 30 seconds, and you're out of the battle. But the problem with the battles being like, I think that there's a fine line in a game like this between battles that are nice and feel good and battles that are too long. Kind of as an example, Planetfall, Age of Wonders, Planetfall. That game's battles were too long, right? Like the animations, everything. Like you'd be in a battle for like sometimes upwards of 10 minutes, and that sucks. Like, never make me do that in a big grand, not a grand strategy game, but never make me do that in a big turn-based strategy game, right? Like that's too long to be in one battle. But this game's battles are like under a minute, and half the time I don't feel like I could have really had much impact. Like, I feel like they tend to go one of two ways. I get into the battle and I steamroll immediately, or I get into the battle and it's like kind of tense for a few seconds and then I steamroll them, or they just steamroll me instantly. And because it's over so quickly, I feel like I should have just auto-battled it. Like,
that was kind of Heroes of Might and Magic as well. Either you had a steamroll army or you struggled and then you just beat them.
Yes, but in Might and Magic, they, like, from what I remember anyway, the battles took longer, and I didn't feel like it was just over. So even if it was like a tough battle and I lost, at least I felt like it was a tough battle and I lost, instead of just, well, I guess I died then. Like, I don't have enough time to get invested in the fight. Like, I literally wish that the animations were slower. Like, just add,
they are very fast for sure.
Like, give me like an option to slow down the animations in that screen and just let the battles take like an extra minute, so I have time to digest what just happened.
I, on the other hand, had a couple fights where it actually took a little longer. Like, it wasn't just a steamroll instantly. And it was actually really fun when it was a longer, and I got to use you get this spell that allows you to put a barrier on one of the tiles, so you have to break it to move through, and it actually really affects the enemy's AI. And they don't seem to usually break it; they just go around. So you could kind of with the high ground and everything, you could actually play with the terrain and things. And I found that really fun and interesting on a couple of the fights that were actually longer, but most of the fights were like,
boy, do I have
2 seconds
to
done.
Say about the magic system. Go ahead, sorry.
The last major complaint that I have about this game that I want to air is the visuals. This game is beautiful. It's gorgeous. This is one of the best games for screenshots that maybe has come out in the last couple of years. Just as here's a still frame screenshot of this video game. My God, it looks beautiful. Like, this is like the nicest example of that since like Stone Shard, right? Where it's just like, here's one screenshot of this and this looks incredible. But when I actually am playing it, I'm playing it like I'm playing Heroes of Might and Magic. I'm jumping from one side of the map to the other, especially because I played a skirmish off stream after that. I ended streaming that day, where when you have multiple wielders and multiple armies in different places, you're jumping between them. The game has some this might just be my machine. The game has some pretty severe pop-in. I
had the same issue.
When a game is really pretty and it looks gorgeous, and you jump across the map and half of the assets aren't loaded in, and then like 2 to 4 seconds later they all pop in, it takes you right out of it, and you lose the sense of where you are in the map. It's disorienting, and it's not pleasant. I
had also some viewers comment on that. That's a lot of it's just jumping around on the map, and then 2 seconds of battle, and then jumping around the map. That's not very pleasant to even watch as a viewer.
The last major issue that I have with this is when you're zoomed out on the map, there's so much going on, so much color, so much bloom, so many effects, so many like tiny little details on the ground. It becomes a form over function problem where I have to just hit tab to tab between the wielders because I can't see them on the map. Like, they just blend in with the background. They don't stand out.
I had the same problem with the resources and everything as well. I missed on like stones and wood and other piles.
In OG,
there's a sparkle effect around them, but they were hard to see.
In OG Might Magic, everything stood out because like the background was just plain green, right? Which was like it was very simple, but it was a benefit because the giant chest that's the thing that you click on is super clear. Whereas this, it's like a little pile of rocks just blends in with the cliff face.
Yeah, it does really well.
Yeah, you know what? When you're on the overworld, hit Alt, and then everything gets an outline and text. But the game doesn't tell you.
Well, now I know.
Yeah, I pressed it accidentally, and I was like, wow, what is this?
Yeah, exactly. But the game doesn't tell you. I struggled with that so much as well. And I know exactly what you mean. The art style is pretty.
It's beautiful.
But it's also heckin' busy. It is so busy that it's because there's so much. Because there's literally something on the overworld. Like every 4 or 5 tiles, there's just something there.
Yeah.
So like alt is
I want
the way
that
to go.
alt option on all the time.
Yes.
But even then, like, I want an option to just like remove some of the sprites. Like I want some of the grass to be gone. I want the game to look more simple because like as much as I adore the art in this game and it looks gorgeous in screenshots and it looks gorgeous in motion too with everything like animating slightly just like. But the second you start moving that camera around and you start getting issues with pop-in and you start trying to play the game, it becomes.
On that note, because you were talking about petty things.
Go nuts.
I also have a petty thing. And you know what? You know what it is? Every time you do a battle, and obviously because, you know, you do a lot of battles in this because it's it's the point of the game. It's like you can have a kill cam on the last kill and you have like a character flying through the screen. There's just blood everywhere. And the victory screen pops up and it's like, da-da-da-da-da-da! Like it's just like a super happy little jaunty little tune for the victory screen. It just feels so out of place.
I really like that jingle.
No, it felt so out of place for me like, every time.
The first battle I did, the last character to died on a elevated tile, so they had like the high ground, and their body was levitating in midair. So
I
pretty
had that
funny.
too. Yeah. But actual like serious issues that I have is so the way this game tries to separate itself a little bit is by the magic system and by the order like what is it called? Is that order? No, order is one of the system one of the
essences.
Essences, yes, thank you, that's the word. So there are 8, 7. No, there's different essences. And
I think there's 5 different ones.
Or 5, I don't know. There's essences. And you gain essences through upgrades for your wielder, but also through your troops. And different troops give you different essences. And then these essences, you get them every turn in a battle, and that unlocks spells for you. To get the good spells, first of all, it takes ages, and usually the battles are over before you get to the good spells. And to get the good spells, you have to have certain types of units. But those units are not necessarily the best to have in the fights. Well, I've noticed, for example, like because militia is OP AF, especially if you can just long range shoot with them, like and they kill everything.
Yeah,
yes, they can only go every other turn, but they're OP as heck. So it's like I don't know, like they tried something that's different.
It feels like a big balance issue as well compared to like the Heroes of Might and Magic, where you have like a magic pool that slowly filled up, but it's stayed between the battles, so you couldn't just spam the best spells all the time. But in this one, because you can, if the combat lasts long enough, you will always have the chain lightning that kills the enemy's army every fight.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't know. It just doesn't. It doesn't feel like it's a cool idea, but I think in practice it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I really like the spell system, but I think it would maybe fit a different type of game better. How it works is really cool. If it was like a roguelike or something, and your gear and whatnot gave you the order points and the essence and whatnot, and then you pull the spells out of that would be cool. But in a Heroes of Might and Magic style game, I don't think it works that well.
Agreed.
I like the idea of the magic. My issue with the magic is that the spells that I got were always really boring. It was like, oh, well, here's a really good buff for everybody, or keep 1 unit alive, or damage 1 unit. It's like
the order spells are very, very boring. The other ones are much more interesting, which you don't really get until, well, I guess, scenarios or other campaigns.
Yeah, that's what I
skirmish
also
stuff.
wanted to
like
say.
it's like I just want to drop a fireball on the baddie. Like
Yeah.
Give me magic. I don't want air quotes magic. I make you stronger. I want magic. I drop meteor on your head.
That's exactly a problem that I had with the entire first campaign as well. For some reason, the thing that they chose to introduce you to the game with is literally the most boring wielder with the most boring units as their units to use.
Yep. And so something that my chat pointed out
Why?
actually was, I think that the point of this was something that one of my audience members said, so I'm going to do my best to quote it. I think that this intro campaign is supposed to make you hate this character, hate this faction, and want to play every other faction. Because
Yes, but
boy, howdy, did it do a good job of that.
Yeah, we also all dislike the character so much. Like all
that
of
was
us.
some of the not to just go back into petty pet peeves here, but that was some of the worst dialogue I've seen in a video game this year. Considering
the writing.
in the same week, I saw some of the best writing and best dialogue I've played in video games in my life, followed by some of the, well, I guess you really are following in the footsteps of OG Might and Magic, because woof.
Yeah, and like what I disliked is that it took you a solid, like, even if you, because I knew this was going to be a Heroes of Might and Magic game. So what I did was in the campaign, like in part 1 and 2 of the campaign, I guess I shouldn't have bothered because, you know, clearly I didn't need it. I went around and grabbed all the resources. So
Same.
it took me like 3+ hours to get to the point where it's actually like, yeah, now you're playing the actual game in the campaign. And it's just, I don't know, there's just, for me, there's just so many things at the moment where I'm just, why? Like,
To me, and maybe this is kind of my closing thought on this one, but to me, Sons of Conquest seems like a good foundation for what could be a really good video game that is in dire need of like a year and a half's worth of heavy QA.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
we're
very much
now
agree on
paying
that.
for the privilege of providing that QA.
Yep.
I mean, that kind of is the early access, though. So.
Well, see,
It is
here's the
early
thing. Here's the
access.
thing, though. I think there's kind of like 3 types of early access games, right? There's games that go into early access because they need funding. There's games that go into early access because they need QA and don't want to pay for it. And then there's games that go into early access because they don't know what they're doing. This one seems like a mix of the last two.
Yeah, I guess if they are aiming for that kind of esports, Heroes of Might and Magic, because people play that.
It's
so
an
much.
esport.
So if they're going for that, I imagine having a good community feedback is going to be beneficial for sure.
Yeah. So I agree with you, and I've been ragging on the game a lot. Quite blood. It's coming from a place of like.
It's coming
Like,
from a place of love.
wanting it to go. Yeah, it's coming from a place of love. I want this to be good, and I want it to be fun. It's just not.
It's like I always say on stream that if I'm complaining a lot about the game, it's because I care about the game and I want it to be better, and not because I hate the game. If I don't like a game, I just stop playing it and I'm gonna play something else.
Yeah.
Another quote from my chat. Oh, is Blind hate playing a game again?
So I think we were all in agreement with keep an eye on this one, but maybe just hold off on buying it for a little bit longer, unless you really, really, really want to support the devs.
I'll say this, unless you really, really want to support the devs, or you have a friend who you want to play PvP with or PvE with, because I think that this would be a really fun one to just buy with a friend and just sit down and curb stomp some AI every weekend.
Yeah,
I agree.
This would be a really fun game for that. But
I
if
think
you're
my chat wanted to do that as well.
if you want to play single player,
no.
So if you're planning on playing co-op or you want to play PvP, or you want to make custom maps, because there is a fantastic map editor in there and there's already a ton of community maps. So if you want to like mess with custom maps and stuff, it's interesting. You can skip the built-in campaigns and don't go into it for heavy single player content. That would be my recommendation.
Also, props, and that's really good. I think as like a closing thought, it does have multiplayer already, so that's good. That's really good.
It has multiplayer and co-op.
Yeah.
And experimental campaign co-op, where you both control the same faction, which is interesting.
That is interesting, yeah. So yeah, we're gonna keep an eye on this one. I think I will at least.
I will
for sure. If only to look at the screenshots, that look really pretty. It reminds me actually the Octopath Traveler from Square Enix.
Yeah.
Kind of has similar
triangle
pixel
strategy.
art. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's a lovely style.
True.
On lovely style topic, Belannaer, you want to talk about your impressions on Tile Cities?
Yeah, sure. I play FG. FG was talking about it on Discord, and I was like, "Oh, this looks like a kind of neat game." And it's by the devs who are making Ostrive as well, and it's for basically support of the cause in Ukraine. But it's a small, quirky, like tile-based city building game, like a super chill, casual, where you plop down different styles of a. It's basically Tetris, but you're building a city, more or less. And FG has been playing it a bunch, and I was like, I'll try it as well for like half an hour at the start of the stream, and I'll move to the next game. 4 hours later, I'm still plopping the tiles, and I need to plop some more tiles, but I need to also play other games. It's a fantastic small game. Like it's so cheap as well. Like it costs nothing, and the money goes to a really good cause. So I can definitely recommend on that.
Yes, Tile City is great.
Yeah,
It's like my zen chill out game. I think
we've talked about Tile Cities on here quite a bit already. I think so.
Yeah.
But it's...
Did you feel the whole playable area yet, or are you still?
No, I haven't yet. I'm at 5,200 points at the moment.
Belannaer, what's your top score?
I'm not actually less than 1,000, I think.
Because I got one up to about 4,000, and I just got bored and started over. Because
it is really hard to lose on that game once you figure out how the demand system works and everything, and just keeps going and going and going.
Which isn't a bad thing, though.
No, it's not. And it does have a sandbox as well if you just want to plop down the tiles and not really care about anything.
Yeah, with the sandbox too, you can also like just hit the R button until it finds the piece that you need. So you can, if you mess up a bunch of tiles, you can go back. Actually, I want to figure out if you can make that Square City achievement in the sandbox mode.
Yeah, I know so many people who've been trying to get the Square City achievement. I don't have it either yet. That seems really difficult, actually.
I came really close, and I messed up one tile and failed it.
Ah,
I mean, 0% of the people who own that game had that achievement, apparently.
Yeah, it seems really difficult to do, especially because so many of the pieces that you get are triangles.
And you have to build a perfectly square city with no holes in the middle.
Yeah, it's difficult.
But it's a cool game. I really like it. The thing that I like the most about Tile Cities is that I've been recommending it a bunch on stream. I haven't streamed it at all, but I've been recommending it, and I made 2 videos about it. And a bunch of my viewers that I know like don't have a lot of spending money have picked it up and are just like, yo, I have like 18 hours in this now. Like,
yeah. So many of my if I look at my friends list, there is 2, 4, 6, 8. There's like over 10 people who have the game now.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think my friends list is smaller than yours, so it's like mostly just like I think it's 4 people and everybody's in this stream team. So, but there's definitely like a growing list of people that I know that have it. But I think that's everything for games. Oh, actually, no, we're missing one. FG, do you want to talk about Duolingo? Because that's a game, right?
Yeah, that's totally a game, right? That's literally what I wrote in the document. It's a game, right? I mean, it has gamification in it. No, I took a day off this week because I wasn't feeling well, and I played some other games, but I've already talked about them on the podcast, so I thought I'm gonna talk about them because normally I'm the one who like talks about all the games. So I thought I'll just have 3, but. I did some Duolingo on Monday. Again, it's been a long time since I did it. I'm doing Japanese on it, and I don't know. It's.
Can
like,
you say something in Japanese?
Hi. No.
Say one sentence in Japanese. Say like, I can't speak Japanese in Japanese.
I don't know how to say that.
Well, then it's obviously not working very well.
It hasn't taught me that yet.
Well, what has it taught you?
I mean, obviously, it's not going to tell you how to not say that you don't understand the language, because the point is that you understand the language.
But you should be able to...
I could say blind IRL, Vancouver, because that's how you say Vancouver, because that's one of the words in the katakana lesson. So, blind IRL wa Vancouver ni sunde imasu. That means you live in Vancouver. Vancouver, there you go.
Can you say we're going to go to a real quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the news?
No,
Dang
I
it.
can't. I wish. That would be so cool. I could do it in German, but yeah, not in Japanese just yet.
How are you liking the lessons on it in non-Japanese?
So the thing is with Duolingo, the more, because I've been using it for a really long time. Like I said, there's a really long time. I'm on a 120 plus day streak with actually doing something every single day, and having learned a lot of languages, I can finally see like the thought pattern behind the app, and that's good. So like it actually teaches you things like on purpose, and like the way the XP system works as well, which how you like rank up in leagues and whatnot, is actually really clever. Like it gives you a lower amount of XP for new lessons, but you get high amount of XPs if you go back to old lessons and practice them. But that's actually what you need to do when you learn languages, right? You go and learn new stuff, and then you go back to the old stuff and repeat it again and practice again. And then you progress a bit further and you go back and you practice again. And if you do that every day, that actually really helps. But at the same time, I also really freaking hate the gamification in this app. I hate it so much. Like I kind of hate that there is achievements. I kind of hate the whole league system and all that sort of stuff at the same time, because I don't want to say it stresses me out, but I don't know, like it diverts my attention from the I'm using this app because I want to learn languages to, oh, I need to do this app because I need to get XXP so I stay in this league, or I need to get XXP so I can work on getting that achievement and that sort of stuff. And
Yeah, makes
that
sense.
annoys me.
And we don't have enough gamification as our job and everything already. So
Yeah, exactly. So it's a really valuable app, especially because it's free, and that's always cool. And I've been enjoying using it, but I also freaking hate the gamification in it, and I could like totally like do without it. But it was
Yeah.
fun to stream it because there's actually a whole bunch of people in my community that either live in Japan or are studying Japan or speak Japanese, and we've just had, and it just comes to like really cool, like you come to really cool conversations about languages, but I just like anyways, and explaining it to somebody who has no idea what's going on is also really cool because it helps me.
Yeah, because you need to process through your brain and then to explain to someone else.
Exactly.
It helps
yeah.
you understand it even better.
Yeah.
I think throughout all our communities, there's quite a lot of people using Duolingo for a variety of languages.
Absolutely. And yeah, no, it was fun to stream it. I streamed it for like 2 hours. Didn't do much, but like the conversation, like it's a very different thing to stream compared to games, even though it is a game, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing. No, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it would be a fun thing to do, like maybe Sunday morning language learning lesson with friends and so on. I've been meaning to try it as well. But,
it's really cool. It's very different. It's like, you know, how you sometimes when you do like the word guessing game or the language guessing game or like just even GeoGuessr, it's like a different type of game. And
I've always enjoyed like learning languages as well. Like I did like too many at school.
Same.
And I would love to go back to like Japanese and German and so on.
Yep. But yeah, Duolingo. Check it out. It's free. Not sponsored, but it's free. So it's always cool.
They should sponsor this podcast though. Like let's be honest. Hey, Duolingo, you want to like?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, tell them about us. Like, I mean, we are so international. We could hold this podcast in like 3 different languages at least. So there you go.
I can only speak one, so that you might.
Yeah, you have English covered. Then Kiri and I do it in German, and then Belannaer does a solo hosting show in Finnish.
I can do Swedish as well, pretty badly.
Yeah, I don't either. I know
isn't
like
that just Finnish but with less vowels?
No, it's totally different.
No, that's Danish and Swedish and Norwegian, but then Finnish is very different.
Finnish
I know
just got drunk and stole all of the vowels from the rest of the world.
I know 4 words in Finnish, and that's it. So there you go.
Anyway,
off topic.
Let's go to a real quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the news.
Hey, my name is Arch from Arch Plays Stuff, and you're listening to the Halcyon Frequency Podcast. I'm not on this one, but if you want to catch me live on Twitch, you can at twitch.tv/archplaystuff. Happy listening.
Herzlich willkommen zurück zum Halcyon Frequency Podcast mit mir, FGsquared. Mit mir zusammen dabei sind BlindiRL und Belannaer.
Hello.
Und jetzt kommen wir zu den Nachrichten. Well, no, there we go. Let's go back to English so everybody understands what the heck I'm talking about. But back to the news segment. And slight warning, I guess. The first one is a bit of a heavy hitter. We already alluded to it, the topic a little bit about talking about South cities. The next one is Kotaku had a very, for me personally, like interesting and intriguing article about game development during wartime in Ukraine. So if you don't want to hear about that, you might want to skip forward a little bit in the podcast. Can't blame you if you've just been hearing it in the news everywhere all the time. But basically what they did is they just interviewed various different game developers from kind of all over the country. And they've just kind of been talking about their experiences developing a game, which is your livelihood. So obviously you kind of have to keep working on it, but at the same time you also have to like fear for your life. And it's just been, for me personally, just a really fascinating read. And yeah, they've had like developers on, as I said, like from certain cities where they were actually like under enemy occupation. They were, or attack, because there were some from Kiev, for example. There were some that had like some personnel in Bucha, though they got out before stuff really happened apparently. And other people like that were already they had some people outside already of Poland. And it's just a glimpse into the life of people affected by it. And
a particular line in this article that really stood out to me, I'm just going to read verbatim from this article. If you want to read the whole article, it is also linked in the podcast description. But game development, and this is like a quote from a game developer in Ukraine, and they say, "Game development is more important for me than my life," says Andrew Kokhan, which I'm probably butchering, Kokhan. Founder of Nightcat Studios, an independent Ukrainian game development studio. On March 30th, Kokhan traveled to Kiev from the southern city of Izmail to retrieve the studio's data storage devices. And at the time, the city was being shelled by Russian soldiers. While the dangers were obvious, Kokhan told Kotaku over a call that he actually had multiple reasons to enter Kiev to collect the studio's data storage devices amid the active war. And they say it was almost 5 years of not just my work, but also the work of my big team. So it would be very unfair to lose that data, which is like just, puts it into perspective. It's just, this is not just people's livelihoods. This is years and years like of multiple people's
passion.
Work.
And it's like they've literally like, it's this big project you've put years of your life into. Because this could theoretically, technically be a game that's not even out yet, right? It's a project you've been like working on for years, and I can relate. It was just a very relatable article in a way, because
and not just years of work, but also like a considerable sum of money.
Yeah,
which
that
would be
too.
like totally gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
it would be like Project Zomboid losing their code in a fire.
Yeah, basically.
And in a flood
again,
and in a break-in.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's strange,
right?
But
I think that's
was the flood. The flood was No Man's Sky, I think.
Wasn't it also Zomboid? But anyway,
did they have a flood?
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that No Man's Sky did have. They lost like a patch worth of work or something.
Store your data in a safe location, off-site, a backup. Do it.
Do
in the cloud potentially, please. Anyways.
Right. Yeah, no, the articles like this are difficult to read, but I do think that like if you're going to read anything about wars, it's easier to read things within industries that you understand, right? And like for me, I can read articles about geopolitics and understand some of it and then move on with my day, and a lot of that is scary and stressful and stuff that I can't affect, right? But stuff like this, as somebody who obsesses over video games, I can read an article like this and wish list and share the games. Like there's things I feel like there's things I can do even if small, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah, we actually like just to like give you a glimpse behind the podcast. We actually kind of debated about talking about that, and there was kind of a back and forth. Like even within me, just like whether or not do we talk about it because people kind of want maybe not to, but then at the same time, it is important to talk about, and it's important to share resources, and also important to share resources for people affected by this. Like even because you outside can also be affected by this, just because it's such a mentally draining situation as well. So go seek help if you need it, and go help people in Ukraine if you can. Even if it's just sharing like a game by a Ukrainian developer that you really like Tile Cities. Go buy it. It's $2 or $3 and £2.
$3
Go buy
and
it.
40
It
cents
helps.
in weird Canadian money.
Exactly.
But let's move from dark times topics to other dark times topics.
Oh God. Well, I mean,
more normal dark times topics. How's that?
yeah, and with a tiny light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe.
So this article from Fanbyte here, they talk about Traveler's Tales employees speaking out about Skywalker, Saga, and Crunch.
Yeah, crunch and overtime and just generally bad working conditions. So that is the most recent Lego Star Wars game. In case so that one came out earlier. No, last month, I guess it was April, right?
It was very recent, yeah.
And yeah, very recently, and
very well received too. People really like
very
the game.
well
Yeah,
received.
it is like one of the best Star Wars games.
Yeah, after several delays, sorry, but it was finally out. People really enjoyed it. And basically in January, so a while ago, employees actually spoke out about the conditions working on the game, and how they were just being crunched. Like there was just so much crunch and overtime, and then still delay and more crunch and still delay and more crunch and that sort of stuff. And this is basically an article that came out like earlier this month, so 4 months later, to see like has the situation even changed, and like how did like the employees speaking out actually change the situation at the studio. And because there was this thing where this article dropped where they were talking about it and like revealing their situation, and then the leadership at the studio made the decision to drop a trailer earlier than planned originally on the same day to kind of like overshadow that report a little bit. Sorry, a little bit sketchy and that sort of stuff. And luckily, apparently, stuff has gotten a bit better, though they still don't feel like they're actually being taken seriously, and stuff is kind of just a little bit happening because they talked about it in the public. So this is kind of a little bit of saving face, but I guess that's why you talk about it in the public, to make them do something, right?
The only way you get better workers' rights is by everybody unanimously yelling about how bad their rights are. So if everybody all at the same time yells that they need better rights, companies have to listen. If only one person yells that they need better rights, that person gets fired. So in a situation,
I almost want to say that there might be a name for that sort of stuff when like lots of people walk out and they don't work and they talk about what's the problem. What could that word be?
Well, it's definitely not team deathmatch. I think you're referring to capture the flag.
Yes, but no, exactly. You have to talk about it because appealing. What?
Unionize.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, unionize the strikes, talk about it, put pressure on them to get better working conditions, and that's what this is. It's good that something changed once,
it's
like
also,
at least one.
Like just a weird place for Traveler's Tales as a studio, right? TT Games, just because like they're also like losing their umbrella corp that is selling off all of their gaming division, which is Warner Brothers, including like Mortal Kombat and a lot of other stuff. It's not one that we have an article here because it's not super relevant to any of us here, but like it's interesting that, like stories like this are coming out about this studio and the games that they've worked on, because they're like probably going to be going through an ownership shift soon.
Yeah.
You know, we're in an era of a lot of acquisitions, and the right to make Star Wars Lego games, or just Lego games in general, is owned by Warner Brothers, and they're selling off their games division. So things are going to get weird for that studio. So I think now is probably a good time for them to be trying to kick up and make their rights better. But
True.
which is also weird because that Harry Potter's games are going to be a Warner Brothers thing. Anyway, but
Oh yeah.
they're selling their entire games division. Anyway,
Ah.
do we want to move on to the next one here on the list? Slightly less sad, more
So, more of like kind of
point finger and laugh at Bethesda.
a little bit expected, I guess.
So Redfall and Starfield have been delayed. Anybody surprised?
No.
Not really.
No.
What's
I mean-
Redfall
Especially getting-
again? That's the actual problem that I have with this article. I forgot what Redfall
Is
was.
that the vampire thing?
That's the one I don't care about.
The problem
Yeah, same.
that I have with Redfall is I keep thinking that it and Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines something Hunt. What's that Battle Royale game they just released? I confuse those two games.
Yeah, Blood Hunt something like
Blood
that.
Hunt?
Yeah,
Okay, Redfall
yeah.
and Blood Hunt are the same game in my brain. I can't
So-
differentiate
Yeah.
between the
Redfall
two.
is an open world co-op FPS from Arcane Austin, the award-winning team behind Prey and Dishonored.
Sure.
So I mean, theoretically, that could be really good because Prey was fantastic. But yeah,
I
so
remember
basically,
the trailer just being very
Yeah, the trailer
unappealing.
didn't sell me at all. Like,
Yeah, that's true,
No,
yeah.
no thanks.
It was like, oh look, it kind of reminds me of Overwatch for some reason. I'm good.
So yeah, both Starfield, which had a release date of 11th November this year. So you know, because 11th
It was
of November
11/11/22, which was a really good day to release.
marketing
something.
thing, yeah, exactly, because Skyrim was 11/11/11. But they've both been. I don't think if Redfall even had a date announced, but
I think
they've
it was
both
just
been-
2022 was the release date on Redfall.
Yeah. They've both been delayed to the first half of 2023. So that's a 6 months window that they have, and I don't think it's gonna be January. Probably
No,
looking
not-
more at April, May, I'd say. Probably not June
End
because
of
that's
first
kind of
quarter 22. I would guess.
yeah, I would think as well because June is like middle of like a summer slump already, like not many people playing. So that's probably
Yeah.
not going to be the release date. It's probably going to be just, you know, yeah, end of first quarter. So the thing here is now, this is something that we like very briefly talked about before the podcast started, which is why I want to bring it up. It's like, why did they delay it? Was that Bethesda's motivation or was that Microsoft? And was like, because they say it's not ready yet, right? Is it not ready because it's not even like Bethesda level ready, aka with tons of bugs and that sort of stuff, or is it not Microsoft ready yet? Because this is the first big game that's coming out of under Microsoft owning like Bethesda, so it's like a big franchise. Like, well, not big franchise, but it's like the next big thing, right? This is that everybody's waiting for from Bethesda. So, is this actually going to be a Bethesda game that's not going to be buggy as heck for once?
That
So
would be
this-
great for once, for sure.
This is actually really interesting. So I did a quick Google search, and I've landed on /r Bethesda Softworks, and this is a post from 3 years ago. So keep that in mind. And this is a post that reads, as Bethesda Game Studios ever once delayed their games. No delay for Fallout 3, Skyrim, or Fallout 4, or Fallout 76.
Yeah, exactly. This is unprecedented.
That's interesting, actually. For some reason, because I literally just went and Googled how many times was Skyrim delayed, because for some reason I have this thought in my mind that Skyrim was delayed a whole bunch, but it wasn't.
Not at all, no.
It was just announced and released.
Same with Fallout 4, right? They announced it like what? They announced it at E3 that year, 2015.
And it was just,
And-
it came out like, what,
It-
4 months later? 6 months later or something?
5 months later, yeah, in November.
Yep.
Yeah, November, yeah.
Also, how many times was Skyrim was delayed? The most, it asked me, Did you mean how many times was Skyrim released?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cockroach.
So yeah, it's just an intriguing thing to keep in mind. Where like it stokes like the little flame of hope in my heart.
You want to know?
That
Go on, sorry.
no, like that maybe this means that Starfield is actually going to be like a step forward in terms of like the game and the engine and everything not being like Bethesda wonky.
I just
It's also
want
that
to
the-
trip over
Oh,
a
you go,
rocket
you
ship
go,
into
Glenn.
space.
but you already are in space.
That's why I want to go from planet to
think.
into space by tripping on a rock.
Yeah, true.
It could also be that both the Redfall and the Starfield are like totally new IPs and not relying on like Fallout and whatever to carry the whole thing. So maybe they wanted to put a little more polish this time, so it doesn't flop in the launcher, and will actually launch a new whole IP that they can then do a million games and launch them every toaster and everything.
I'm gonna throw this out there. This is my hope. Maybe they're going, hey, in order to hit that release date, we'd have to crunch real hard. What if we don't?
Yeah.
That would be great as well.
Is
That would be
is
good.
It is
that
sad
being,
to see
me
so
being
much
too
crunch and
optimistic, or
things.
I don't know how like people haven't really spoken out about bad crunches Bethesda, have they?
No, I haven't heard of this.
So
I'd be shocked if there wasn't.
yeah, me too. But
like,
hey, I guess it's not been as bad to actually like talk about publicly.
there hasn't been any big exposés about them, but
Yeah,
I've definitely
exactly.
like seen interviews before where they're like, yeah, we were working round the clock to get that game released. So like,
Yeah.
It is sadly kind of thing on every single company to some level.
because
Yeah,
like
that's true.
Bethesda games or Bethesda Softworks, like their game developer is actually like kind of small for the size of games they put
It
out.
is. Yeah.
Like they're only like 100 employees or something. Like it's actually like for the scale of games that they make, not that big of a studio. So probably a very impassioned development cycle. But who knows? I mean, like delays are weird right now. Still, right?
Yep.
Like we're still in
but
the
hopefully it means a better game.
yeah. Hopefully,
yeah.
Hopefully. I want to
Fingers
poke a
crossed.
spaceship and I want it to fly away with physics. I like broken physics for the first hour of a video game and then I want it to stop.
Yeah.
So just give us a
No.
physics slider. Can we go from like what it's intended to be all the way up to Skyrim? And then just like you get poked by a monster. and you go,
Never fix the like ragdolling and everything in like Bethesda games. That's like the best feature on them. Like I
Okay,
can just
well,
watch hours and hours of silly corpses flying into space.
just give us mods so that I can fly a Thomas the Tank Engine into space.
Oh, that will definitely. It's yeah.
That's
no,
all
that
I.
will
That's all I
definitely
really
happen.
want. I just want to. I'm probably not going to play Starfield. I just want to see somebody mod Thomas the Tank Engine in so that you can like fly one around in space.
Yeah.
So let's since we're pulling at strings here. Fortnite, indie game, kind of
You
popular.
can fly in it
Have you heard of it?
at the start.
Got it. Okay. So
Yeah.
Fortnite is now free on cloud. This was the one that we were kind of talking about at the beginning. You can now play Fortnite on any device for free on Xbox Cloud. So this is unprecedented and kind of cool for two reasons. The first reason is to play any game on Xbox Cloud, you need to pay for Game Pass, right? However, with Fortnite and free-to-play games, now you can play free-to-play games for free in the cloud. Which on its surface is like, well, okay, Microsoft still gets the cut, and it's kind of like a loss leader to get people into their services, right? But it's interesting because currently you can't play Fortnite on phones. There's no way to play Fortnite on an iPhone because of the lawsuits surrounding Apple and Epic. However, with this, you can now play Fortnite for free streaming on an iPhone, which is a huge audience that both Microsoft and Fortnite had lost.
Yeah, and now they've got it back, yeah.
Which, in case you were tired of hearing about Fortnite, it's still one of the biggest games in the world, and that's not going to change. And
Nope.
that is a huge loss leader, but also probably going to bring a lot more people into the Xbox ecosystem. And it's going to make people make Microsoft accounts, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also potentially make people buy some V-Bucks. And
people will absolutely buy V-Bucks because you don't want to be default in public. That's shameful.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
what it's actually doing is it's making kids are going to sign up for Microsoft accounts. It's continuing Microsoft's domination over this industry for years to come. And
they've been doing very good decisions lately with
their marketing for sure.
Game Pass and everything else, and how to get everyone to basically sign up for the Microsoft account.
Yep.
Speaking of people who make terrible decisions about things, EA Games is losing the FIFA license. So everybody's favorite organization in the world, FIFA, definitely not even remotely, what's the word? Money grabby, corrupt, or problematic in any way, right? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Anyway, they okay. So I'm gonna read this excerpt from this IGN article. For almost 30 years, EA Sports and FIFA. After almost 30 years, EA Sports and FIFA are parting ways, and EA will chart a new feature under the name EA Sports FC, which is what they are changing the name of their football game to. Aside from the name change, and the lack of a licensing deal means that there could be some changes to the tried and true FIFA formula. The reason for them dropping the license is because FIFA wanted twice as much money. Okay, so they were already getting paid $150 million a year, and they wanted $300. But they also wanted the rights to make other games on other platforms. So FIFA wanted more money, but they also wanted to make a mobile game, make a gacha game, make an NFT game. They wanted to make somebody else make a game for the Switch. They want to have rights to do stuff with their IP. And EA Games is going, how dare you make a more addictive casino than we've already built around this sport and money milking thing. So they've decided to go with possibly the worst name I think I've ever seen, which is EA Sports FC. So I live in Canada, right? Football's soccer here. Why don't they call it EA Sports Soccer and EA Sports FC for Europe? Like, let's go back to that regional naming, because nobody in North America is going to know what that means.
Yeah. I suggest that just the EA Soccer would be
EA Soccer.
Much shorter.
EA Sports Soccer, or EA Soccer Sports, or something soccer, EA
something,
Soccer, EA FC, I don't know. Like, just something. And then
EA Sports Round Ball.
EA Sports Ball Kick.
Yeah. I don't
Hire
know,
me,
kickoff.
EA, I'll do your marketing.
Why not call it EA Sports Kickoff?
Yeah, that would be much better.
That would be the arcade game.
Pay me for that, EA.
That's
okay?
the arcade game with the big head mode. That would be way too much fun. They'll never make that.
Yeah, but like EA Sports FC is like.
It is a terrible name. Really, really terrible.
It's
so
gonna be really it's gonna be really interesting to see how this goes. Not because I'm gonna play it, but because FIFA has been extremely important. Like, FIFA and Madden have been extremely important to the industry as a whole for, I don't know, 15 years, maybe longer, closer to 20 probably. Like, as long as I've been playing games, there's been Madden and there's been FIFA, and it's going to be really curious to see what ends up happening with this EA Sports FC, and also interesting to see what FIFA does next with that license. Like, is FIFA going to go give it to, I don't know, Embracer Group and get them to make one of their studios to do something? Like, where's this going to go? It's going to be curious to see.
It is very interesting, though, but I don't think much will change, to be honest, other than the name. And they just don't have the FIFA branding on it, because they have the separate deals anyways for the teams and players and so on.
Yeah, exactly.
So all of that is going to just stay the same. It just doesn't have the FIFA name on it.
Yeah, but I guess it's a question of how good is brand recognition amongst the casual sports gamer.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking for the next FIFA game, and if someone else makes a FIFA 2025 or whatever, they're going to probably buy that instead of whatever sports club the other one is.
EA Sports Club, shin the game. But
it's also interesting that they're losing the FIFA license, because they also lost the Star Wars license and some of the other licenses a while ago. Like they seem to be losing the exclusive rights to all kinds of things.
It's gonna. EA Games is in a weird spot. Although I think it's a weird spot of their own creating. So, we'll.
EA is in a weird spot. Let's
Yeah.
say it is that way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because what do they have now? Except the Sims.
Titanfall.
Yeah, but they killed
Apex
that.
Legends,
Oh, true. Yeah, Apex. Yeah, okay.
which is in
Fair
the
enough.
same universe as Titanfall.
Yeah, true.
Battlefield.
Anthem.
Wah, wah.
All the flops, one
Mhm.
after another.
Terraflops of flops. Anyway, that's EA Games and FIFA both being terrible companies. So I think that brings us to the end of the news segment, and I've got a little fun thing for the end here. Since we're still light on questions, if you want to submit questions to us over here at the Halcyon Frequency Podcast, go to the Halcyon Frequency Discord and leave a question on almost any subject in the questions room under podcast. But to kind of fill time here and add some added entertainment, I've prepared a little video game fact or fiction session. So are you two ready?
I am ready.
I have a buzzer ready.
So there are no points and no winners or losers, and if you want to keep score, you can, but I don't care.
Yeah, totally keep score.
This particular video game fact or fiction is based on release dates. So I will say the name of a video game and the year that it came out, and it is up to you guys to tell me whether or not that release date is true or false. Okay?
Ooh, okay. Oh boy.
On the classic Xbox, Halo Combat Evolved came out in 2001.
I have no idea. I'm gonna go with true.
False.
Fact. Halo Combat Evolved was released in November 2001 on the original Xbox.
Really? Was that early? Oh wow.
Yep.
So to be fair, to my defense, I completely and utterly have paid in my life zero attention to the original Xbox and every Xbox console after that. So
Yeah, and the whole Xbox, the original didn't really happen here in the backwoods of Europe.
yeah.
To be
Although
fair,
the PlayStation did, so PlayStation is much bigger in this woods.
I've never actually played it on the Xbox. I only ever played it on PC. So
Fair enough. All right.
this one's a little obtuse, so good luck. But Zork, the
Yeah.
text adventure, was released in 1985.
It sounds about right-ish.
Yeah. That sounds about right-ish. Is the same with me as well.
Just fact or fiction? What do you think?
I'm gonna go on fact on this as well.
FG?
Me too. Me
Okay.
too.
You are both wrong. Zork released in 1980
Fair enough.
That early.
and is also playable in my Discord server in the text-based games room.
Nice.
So you
I
can
don't know, for some
Zork
reason,
if you want.
when you said Zork,
Mhm.
the 2 years I had rooting around in my brain was not 85. It was 81 and 86.
I think 81 was Zork 2.
Maybe.
they did make,
for me,
like,
it was immediately like Zork the Nemesis. But that's like 90s something.
It is dark in here. You're going to be eaten by a grue. Sid Meier's Civilization was released in 1991. Fact or fiction?
Fiction.
Yeah, I think so as well.
So you don't think it was released in
Wait.
1991?
Civilization. You said Civilization, right?
Sid Meier's Civilization.
Because for some reason my brain meant SimCity. Wait, 1991. Wait. I was thinking of a different game.
Well, I said Civilization.
Yeah.
Not SimCity. Also, Sid Meier did make SimCity. So.
Fact. I know, but for some reason my brain went there. It's been a long day. I say fiction.
So
On that
both of you
one.
say fiction. Well, you're both wrong then, because Civilization 1 released in 1991 in varying months of the year, based on region.
Hmm.
Grim Fandango released in 1999. Fact or fiction?
1999 feels late, but it also feels. Time is weird. I don't like with the whole COVID and everything. I don't know what century it is anymore.
That's why I'm doing stuff from previous centuries.
The fun
But
thing is,
we are also senile and we don't have memory of anything
kind
anymore.
of literally not played any of these games except Zorg like decades later.
I like how Zork's the one you played.
Yeah, right?
This is almost more of a video game history test. I mean, I got some that are
Yeah,
more
it is.
recent later, but
Sorry, I feel like I should have studied for this. No, but like since I played none of these games, it's really hard. And there was like a period in the late 90s. This is a fact about FG. There was a period in the late 90s and early 2000s where I didn't really play games that much, so I missed a lot of stuff from those years.
yeah,
It's also
that's fair. A lot of these
like
games I didn't play
the
either.
80s, 90s games that came into Europe often came like later.
Yeah, that's
True.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
true. I'm
Grim
gonna-
Fandango
I'm-
released in 1999. Fact or fiction?
fact. I don't know.
I'm gonna go fact on this one.
You're both wrong, but I was mean. It released in 1998. So, Grim Fandango
I mean-
released in 1998 to critical positivity and overall financial flop.
There was a lot of
Mm.
point-of-click games during 90s, so it makes sense that it was around that time.
It was one of the last ones. One of the
Yeah.
last of that group of cluster of them anyway. StarCraft. The original, not Brood War, not anything else, just OG StarCraft, released in 1998. Fact or fiction?
Oh shoot.
These are hard.
Fact. I want to say that's a fact. Because the dates I have in my head otherwise are too early, and I know Brood War was. I'm pretty sure Brood War was 2001. I'm gonna say fact.
Belannaer?
No, I'm gonna say fiction.
Oh wait, is that when Brood War came out? I don't know. Because my brain also says 1995 now. I don't know. I don't know.
Are you going to go with fact or fiction?
No, I'm going to stand by what I said.
Fact. Okay.
Even if it's incorrect, yes.
StarCraft did, in fact, released in 1998, same year as Half-Life. What a hell of a year for video games. Bloody Half-Life, Grim Fandango, and StarCraft in 1 year. Like,
yeah, the
my
whole end
God.
of 90s. So it's like
Okay.
all the things.
98 is like the year that all the video games came out. Basically, like every major franchise that still exists in some way or another or was important practically released.
Which is kind of crazy because it's over 20 years ago.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Thanks. I didn't need that this Friday
Speaking
evening.
of things that are older than 20 years and also important franchises, The Legend of Zelda released in North America in 1986.
We don't know about the North America.
That is. Oh,
it sounds
God.
about right.
Belannaer fact?
I'm gonna go fact. Actually, no, wait. The original.
The original, yes. On the Nintendo Entertainment Console.
So I was born at about 80. Well, not about. I was born in 84. And then I got my Nintendo around when I was 6. And I got the Zelda
Yeah, but
around
Zelda,
that time.
the first Zelda release in Europe was almost 2 years after
Yeah, that's one thing.
the release. That's the thing. Like that
I'm
was
talking about
very late.
I'm talking about the original Japanese/NA release, which was first. It released later.
Yeah.
Europe.
Yeah,
It was like
I'm
it was
gonna
like
go
6
fact on
months
that, though.
later for each one, actually. I think.
I just don't remember if the US had the NES in 1986 already.
I think in 80.
Because don't say it. Don't say anything. Don't say
No.
anything. Because I got mine in 89. Because I think it came out in Europe in 88.
All I
Can we
know
have
is
the question
everybody
again?
had them by the time
What was the
I
year?
was born, because I was born in 94. So
I'm gonna say fact. I'm gonna say fact.
Fact?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are both correct. The Legend of Zelda released in Japan and 3 months later in North America in 1986.
Yeah. No,
Although
the
the
European
Europa-
release was.
It was a very
Uh,
staggered release in North America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it
And
released
we
in
usually get-
different cities at different times. It was all
Yeah,
over the
it's like
place.
when you have like this release in Europe this year, it probably was like 2 years later in Finland. Still.
Yeah.
Here's
I'm
one
actually
that,
googling this now. When the EU release was, because now I don't even remember. Well, it does. It's not even mentioned on freaking Wikipedia. Are you kidding me? Come on, tell me about it. But go, keep going. I'll look it up.
Doom
While...
2 Hell on Earth was was released in 1995.
Well, obviously, if Half-Life was 98,
Oh
then
god.
at least it's like a few years before it.
Yeah.
But is 3 years enough?
That actually kind of puts into perspective how big of a tech jump Half-Life must have been at the time. Because I played all those
Yeah,
games
I mean, it
after they
was
were all out,
it was like mind blowing when we got to play it first time.
right? Yeah.
I'm gonna go fact on this.
Fact?
Yeah. Same. Same.
I was kind of mean on that one. Doom 2 released in 1994, the year I was born. Myst, M-Y-S-T,
Oh no.
released in 1993.
Bad memories.
Fact or fiction?
Fact. I wanna say
Yeah,
fact.
seems about right.
That seems about right. Yeah, that seems about right.
Nailed it. Myst did in fact released in 1993. Here's another fun one. Baldur's Gate 2 released in 2002.
Was it that late?
Fact. I want to say.
I need to do math. I was how much I was? 18? No, maybe. No, it must be earlier. I'm gonna go fiction.
Belannaer is correct. It was released in the year 2000.
Oh, darn it.
XCOM 2 by Firaxis was released in 2016.
False.
2016.
False. I want to say false.
6 years ago. Yeah, I'm gonna say false as well.
Fact, it released in 2016. Go look it up on Steam.
Really?
Yeah. That would just hurt my brain when I looked at it like an hour and a half ago. I was like, what?
I thought that was part of when I was playing that. Well, maybe it was actually. Oh no, it was probably the DLC, the expansion.
Yeah, maybe.
But
Huh.
yeah, February 4th, 2016 for XCOM 2. Yeah, I remember
New
watching you
one.
stream that, Bill.
Oh, 2. I didn't hear 2.
I said XCOM 2.
Yeah, I just heard. That's why I'm saying I heard XCOM. That's why I was thinking like, no, that's too early. But no, for XCOM 2, yeah, 100%. Yeah, okay, never mind. Okay, that's just me. I just
Marvel
misheard.
XCOM is coming out.
Ooh, yeah, good question.
Forgot that existed. Roblox, released in 2008. Fact or
But
fiction?
how-
14 years ago. I'm gonna go. What am I gonna go? I'm gonna go fiction on this.
I know it's been around for a while, but I don't think it's been around since 2008. So I'm going to say fiction as well.
Well, you're both right, but for the wrong reason. It's 2005 was when it originally went into public release.
I think time is broken.
And also,
Yeah.
like, the thing that I love to remind people is everybody's just like, oh, yeah, well, I mean, Roblox is just worse Minecraft. It's like, yeah, but, like, Roblox is older than Minecraft, which hurts people's memories sometimes when they realize that. It's like, it's also older, almost sort of older than Dwarf Fortress because it went into private beta, like, 2 years before. But anyway,
Dang.
that was video game history, fact or fiction. Did you have fun?
Yes. It
Or
was
did
very
I
fun.
just make you
Yes.
both feel like you aged 10 years?
Also,
That too.
also, I
And my
won,
memory
so it's
is
fun.
not- Yeah. My memory is broken, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, at least we got the ballpark where they were. It
Yeah,
kind of
true.
sounds right, but year here or there, it's kind of hard to especially because they released it so weirdly in different regions.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I do have to say, the whole Roblox thing is probably the thing that blew my mind the most.
You know,
That's been around that long.
I have this memory of being at church after Sunday school, and my friend's little brother, like me and my friend, we were talking about Age of Empires 3, I want to say. And his little brother comes up to us and goes, "Have you heard of Roblox?" And we both looked at him and we were like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, Roblox. You can like make games in and stuff." And we both thought it was the dumbest thing ever. Actually, we might have been talking about Age of Empires 2. Might have been that far back. Anyway, we were talking about Age of Empires, and his little brother came up to us and asked if we'd heard of Roblox, and he goes, "Oh, it's a stupid game he's been playing."
See, I think the thing why I
That was
missed
like
out on
around
it
2006.
because at that time I was a lot older and entering the job market for the first time, so I was doing different things.
Yeah, but it's still just like Roblox is like one of the biggest juggernauts of the industry, and it didn't become that until like not super long ago.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this was like a university time for me as well. So
Yeah. Definitely doing better things than playing Roblox. But when you're not playing Roblox,
playing Warcraft.
Yeah. When you're not playing Roblox, you can listen to this podcast. And if you want to find more episodes of this podcast, you can go to halcyonfrequency.com for all of the episodes, as well as all the places that you can subscribe to it. If you want to help us out directly, leave us a review, which we kind of like we're talking about at the beginning, but leave us a review because it really does go a long way. And if you want to come find all of us, you can find us over at halcyonfrequency.com. There's links to the team page as well as the team's YouTube channel. Belannaer, tell us a little bit about the stuff that you do and where people can find you.
Well, you can find me on twitch.tv/Belannaer and also on youtube.com/Belannaer TV, and same on the Twitter as well. And yeah, I play building management strategy games, all the indies, some random things. But currently playing Factorio on Sundays again on a multiplayer, and where's my schedule?
And FG, do you want to tell us a little bit about where people can find you and the stuff that you do on the internet?
Yeah, I play a wide variety of games. A lot of indie games, some random stuff in there. Whatever like weird indie games I can get my hands on. You can find me at FGsquared, so that's the letter F, the letter G, and then just the word squared all smushed together on most of the places on the internet. That's Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Patreon, and whatnot. I'm also on Twitter, but there is a sneaky underscore between the FG and the squared, so it's FG_squared. And yeah, see you around the internet.
And I'm yawning, apparently. I'm BlindiRL, and you can find me at twitch.tv/BLINDIRL and youtube.com/on YouTube, I'm just at blind. You can find me on Discord at BlindiRL and on Twitter at BlindiRL. And I actually tweet again, so it's worth following me. Once again, if you listen to podcasts and you can't find this podcast, just tell me where you would like to listen to it, and I'll try and make this podcast appear in that place. And share this podcast around. You know, like there's no algorithms governing how big podcasts can get based on cool search terms. So if you like this show, share it to somebody. Play it for your dog. Throw it out the window playing on a cassette deck. I don't know what people do these days, but just like, you know, tell people that we exist so that more people listen. And I think that's pretty much it. I should stop rambling now. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Halcyon Frequency Podcast. We'll be back next Sunday. Now's where we say goodbye. So goodbye.
Bye.